Brr. Alright, so that's Lillooet Lake behind me. I think I managed to get a couple more emails shared and I'm out of here. I don't feel like lighting a fire. Sunday, what is it? January 20 something. I think I mentioned previous in another email or previous video. This is Lillooet Lake behind me, and that's Uri Creek behind me. If you want to Google that up, or I might even show you on Google on the map where I am. And again, Uri Creek is where a few local guys, long-term residents here in Pemberton, had the living crap scared out of them for running into these Sasquatch beings up in Uri Creek. And I've had some First Nations people, elderly people from the community here, from Mount Currie community here, telling me flat out not to go there. They just don't go there. That there's these people, these beings are living in there. And obviously other places all around here, all around me here. Have I ever been in there? No, I've never been in there. I've been just to the right of the entrance. You can see that low fog bank. And I don't know if you can tell on the camera, it was a little logged off chunk there before. And I shot a great big buck in there one time when those Christmas tree patch, those trees were only about maybe 5 feet tall. And you can see in there. It's too thick now, but that's about the closest I came to going in there. I tried to go in there one time years ago, and there was a bunch of big boulders blocking the old road that went in there. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll go in there. I don't know. Am I craving it? Not really. I might. Finding I'm not as nervous going to some of these places as I was before, because I basically accepted the fact the amount of time I spend in these mountains around here is ridiculous, and nothing absolutely bad has happened to me. I've had a few nerve-wracking experiences happen, but I haven't had that feeling that I'm about to get my head ripped off, ever. Well, maybe a couple times, but I was farther up the other valley towards Mount Meager, and I still haven't been back to those places either. I've talked about those in previous emails. But what else do we got? Hello, Steve. My name is JD. In 1989, I was 9 years old. I saw something I couldn't explain. I was just watching a show on TV with my family, just goofing around and playing. I realized I needed to take a leak, so I ran to the bathroom. I grew up on a farm, so the barn light was so bright it lit up your yard, and you could see what you were doing even with the blinds down. So I'd run to the bathroom and leave myself and run out sometimes. But on this occasion, I look up as I'm doing my business, and I see a huge shadow in the bathroom window. The height of the window was over 8 feet tall. It almost blocked out all the light from the barn light. It had green, glowing eyes. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. I was completely terrified. After what seemed like forever, I ran to my parents' bedroom and hid under their bed on the second floor. I had no idea what to think or what was going on. After that, I had nightmares for 2 years and refused to sleep alone, either with my sister or my parents. I thought something might be coming to get me. My parents, being religious, thought my bed that they just bought me was possessed, I guess. I only recently had told them about it after seeing your videos and getting the courage to say something. When I did tell my mom about it, I started crying, and I really didn't know why. I guess I was holding in for so long. I used to think I was crazy. I grew up on a farm in southwest Iowa, not exactly where you're supposed to see things like that. I thought those things were only in the mountains. To be honest, I'm still at a loss. You're giving people courage. I know you're not alone, and you're not crazy. It's a relief. Thank you. Okay, man. Well, thanks for getting up the courage to share that finally. Obviously, you needed to do that. Be interesting to know what your mom's reaction was, if she had a similar experience herself or not, right? And but there you go. To all you guys listening to that email, there's a prime example, the perfect example of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And this isn't for any people out there who come here screaming and pounding their fists like a 2-year-old kid screaming and showing me proof. This has nothing to do with any of you people. Nothing at all. If you can't pick up what has been shared here alone as ultimate proof, then you have got to do some work on yourself. All right? It's just the way it is. You are going to have to do some work on yourself. your brain isn't firing properly. It's been programmed. And it's up to you to deprogram it, not me or any of these people here today or any other day, all right? It's nonstop, you guys. I just gotta mark a bunch of these as red so I don't get all confused and messed up. Okay, I don't know if I've missed. No, I couldn't have missed anything. That's how this starts. I was in the woods that evening and heard an owl hoot in the distance. And then it was followed by the sound that you hear, which I had never heard before, being in the woods all my life. I assumed it may have been a juvenile owl learning how to hoot. I went in the direction of the sound, see if I could get whatever it was to fly. I know you can't usually hear an owl in flight, but you can hear when they leave the perch. This is the second or third audible that I heard within a couple of days' time in the same area, give or take a few hundred yards. I had a friend who I knew would be very interested in the different sounds, so I had sent him the audio. He thought it was a young yeti. A few months later, he called me because he could not put it up in his phone. He could not pull it up in his phone. He wanted to share it with someone else. I told him a few days earlier I tried to pull it up to do the same, and it was erased off my recording also. Very odd indeed. I did find this on another one of my audio. It is not as good as the one that mysteriously was erased from both of our phones. Do you have any idea what made the sounds? All right, you know what? I remember that now. That came through, and I couldn't open it up. I couldn't open it up in the email. All right, sorry about that. So I'm gonna have to mark this as red and carry on to the next one. Sorry, man. I didn't get that audio recording through, and if I did, I would share it with everybody to see if somebody had heard it. Okay. Well, what's this one? Hi, Steve. Just saw posted on Facebook where the state of Oklahoma. All right. I covered that topic too. Oh, hold on. Hey, Steve. Just saw posted on Facebook where the state of Oklahoma wants to establish an open hunting season on Bigfoot/Sasquatch. If the government continues to say Bigfoot are not real, then why would they want to openly hunt the hairy men of the forest? Here's attached where it was posted. My own county judge was commenting on the same thing this AM. I had to comment back at him, stating if governments say these creatures are not real, then why establish a hunting season on Bigfoot/Sasquatch? I know Bigfoot is real, live creature. I saw him myself 5 years ago. My sighting was from a small distance. It didn't see me, but I saw it. Wasn't full grown. Would say it was in its teen stage. Was a juvenile. I heard a whoop. I thought to myself, did I hear what I thought I heard? So I returned the whoop. A few seconds later, it was returned. I thought, awesome. I live about a mile from the Arkansas River. They travel the rivers, streams, and where deer and other animals come to drink. The Bigfoot was all black, about 5 feet tall. Its arms hung to its knees. Its back was facing me, so I couldn't see the facial features. For a 5-foot creature, it was a solid-looking fellow. It was standing under an oak tree. It was in my neighbor's hayfield just across the road from me. Perhaps he was just exploring the area. Deer do frequent the stand of trees. There are 2 old fish ponds in there, too. I told one of my sisters about my sighting, but as usual, she thought I was crazy. She told me not to be telling people or I might be put in a loony place. I'm Cherokee and proud of my Indian heritage. To this day, I know what I saw was a young Bigfoot. I'm a loyal follower of a YouTube channel. I'm glad you're helping all the people their encounters. Please only mention my first name. Don't want BFRO people coming around here telling me I saw a frickin' bear. Thanks for reading my long email, Steve. So glad people are coming to your channel to tell their encounters with Bigfoot Sasquatch. Keep reading their emails. The truth is getting there. Out there. P.S. We should all be grounding. It's walking barefoot on Mother Earth's soil. Recharges our bodies, as does the Bigfoot on a daily basis. Sincerely, Vicky. All right, thanks, Vicky. Thanks, Pat. I really appreciate that you shared that. And the words of encouragement. And as far as, like I've said before, I think everybody, I basically made my stance on government clear, I think, by now. I have zero respect for the current governments. I don't have any. None. I have respect for my fellow people. I have respect for the land, for the game, for the fish, for the forest. But as far as our government goes, I don't have any respect for them. And the Oklahoma story, I think I touched base on that in another email here a little while back, and it's not going to change anything. Obviously, that governor is either it's a publicity stunt, or he has a few marbles. He's a few marbles shy of a full load, and he has had a personal experience himself, or probably sometime in his lifetime, and he's angry, he's trying to lash out, and he wants to kill them all. It's one or the other, right? But anyway, man, it is cold. Let me get another one of these things. Is anybody actually getting a little freaked out? Not freaked out, but isn't it amazing just how many sightings there really truly are? And a lot of people might wonder why I am getting these extremely high numbers of experiences emailed in as to compare to other people possibly who are advertising or trying to get people to email their encounters. And I have a funny feeling it's probably because of, like they said, the reason I came forward. This is watching the shit show go on. You know, if there's people out there, so-called researchers or Sasquatch pages or video YouTube pages, and they're wondering why they're not getting these emails in, it's probably because your approach or what you're delivering to the people, right? There's a lot of bullshit out there. There's a lot of people that have considered themselves a member of the Bigfoot Sasquatch community who have done far more damage than good, right? They haven't offered up that safe place for people to come forward. Think about it. Think about it. How many groups or how many individuals out there that are out there in the public eye when it comes to this topic are actually showing and delivering a very supportive, no bullshit platform for people to come forward and share their experiences? There's not many. You know, I would say they're the majority of the people out there you would want to associate with, right? They have done so much damage to more damage than not when it comes to this topic due to their frickin' weak ego or whatever the hell issues they got going on. But, you know, and it's not a competition out there. Some of the things that I drop and the things I say when it comes to other people, when it comes to this topic, I only say to challenge them to get better. Quit acting like a dumbass, right? If you just cut the bullshit out, you would probably get a lot more respect and a lot more attention, and a lot more people would want to listen to you and share through you. If you drop the bullshit, drop the creepy music, drop the begging for this and liking this, and just cut the bullshit out. You know? Now, oh, it's cold, man. My face is starting to freeze. Listen to this one. What do we got? Hi, Steve. My name is Rudy. Well, here it goes. Maybe you believe it or not. It was February 19th, 2013. I lived in a rural area north of Vernal, Utah. Man, there is a pile of activity in Utah, isn't there? That state is nonstop, just like Oklahoma, Texas, BC, Alberta. Anyway, just below the Steinacher Res Dam. I'm a night owl myself. My son and myself went out in front of our driveway, just working on a Durango. Across the road, we heard a lot of coyotes howling in feeding the kits. There had been at least 30 adult coyote. That sounds frickin' bizarre. I was telling my son what the sounds of a feeding pack sounds like. Anyway, directly across the road in front of my home was a large cattle field for calving. The field was split by wire fence. The north side was for pregnant cows. The south is where they put the new calves and mothers. They were no further than 60 yards away. These fields are not grass, but more scrub and large patches of bush with a maze of trails throughout. The coyote had fed the kits and become quiet when we heard a loud, long howl just north of the pack, immediately followed by a howl just south of the pack and a third howl just west of the pack. We were east of them. Then from the same locations, they whooped. Same order. That's when all hell broke out. They moved on the pack, attacking the coyotes. This was a horrific event. My son screamed, "What is that?" I told him to get my 12 gauge. I had my 45. Now this was terror as they tore into the coyote. We heard them trying to fight, snapping and yelping, gnashing, yelping, screaming, and dying terrible deaths. This was no predator-prey situation, as most predators kill silently as to not alert their predator nearby. This was violent. My son was crying in fear. They then killed the kits. The attack had to have been at least 10 to 15 minutes. My neighbor, whose property and mine split 6 acres. My face is freezing off. Well, she came out also scared to death, asking me what it was. She first thought my dogs had gotten in a brawl. I breed and raise my dogs, which are a combo of pit bull, boxer, and bull mastiff bred for guard and boar hunting. I said something was killing the coyote pack. She gave me her spotlight, and that's when I did a real stupid thing. Me and my son walked into the field. I had to know if it was what I thought as we went there. Okay, no commas or periods again. Let's try it again. She gave me her spotlight, and that's when I did the really stupid thing. Me and my son walked into the field. I had to know if this was what I thought. As we went to where I was sure the fine, shredded, bloody, dead coyote, we found nothing. As I started to get deeper into the maze, it hit me and my son, the sense of immediate danger. We turned and got the hell out of there. The next night, I had 3 of my friends over and told them what happened. It was about 10 p.m. and it had been raining all day and night, and I went out to my driveway with them trying to tell them how close they were. So directly across the road is the gate to the field. Just 40 yards west, standing in the field, was a giant shape. This out in the country, no lights, was a giant shape. This out in the country, no lights, in a steady, misting rain, but those glowing red eyes staring straight at me. We all saw them. I had a small flashlight but couldn't make any details out. This light also had a laser pointer, so again, by big mistake, I turned it on and pointed directly into those eyes. And then from directly behind it, 6 more stepped out. 3 to his right, 3 to his left, also with glowing red eyes. The 6 began to start romping joyfully around him, but he never moved, never took his eyes off me. We were mesmerized. We had at least 3 handguns, a 12 gauge, and cell phones, but nobody even thought of taking pics or video or calling 911. They played like puppies, bounding around each other. That's when I kind of snapped out of his gaze and noticed now there's only 2 of them. I think only out of instinct, I looked for the others and then saw that 2 had split off to the north and 2 south. I watched the two moving north, where there was a barbed wire cattle fence just 10 yards of him splitting the field. But as the 2 walked to it, they seemed to simply glide right over it. They didn't straddle the fence, like if you or I were to step over a log. Our hips shift and our shoulders dip. They moved like silk smoothly over a 5-foot fence, then turned east, now 20 yards to my north and south, and the chill ran up and down me as I realized he kept me focused on him as the 4 were moving to flank us. I then got my son and friends into the house and we set up guard posts. They never came to my house, but all night he never left that spot. All night those red eyes stared directly at me. In the morning they were gone. I went to exactly the spot he was, just by a Russian olive tree. A branch that was just at his eye's height was measured at 9.5 feet high. Steve, this was way too long an email so far, but there's more to tell you. I feel I can only be spoken. It's hard for me. I've been haunted by this trauma. Please call me. If you believe me, I understand. If you don't, nobody does. All right, well, sorry I was kind of busted up reading there. My frickin' face, my lips are starting to get numb. Just finding I'm not reading as smoothly, but that's one hell of a story. It's one hell of an experience. 30 coyotes. I'd find that hard to believe. What I think was probably more plausible is whatever was out there was imposing those sounds on you. We've heard of a lot in the past of the sounds being mimicked. Heard how many people have said it was a combo of a pterodactyl kind of sound, a bear and a lion and a coyote and a wolf, all and a dog going crazy, all in one. They can make some very, very upsetting, alarming sounds. But I haven't a clue what you're looking at, man. I haven't a clue what you're looking at, or whatever it was. If it gave up that mirage for you guys, I haven't a clue. You know what? I haven't a clue what that was out there you were looking at. But it sure sounds like it was pretty frickin' intimidating, and it's nothing I'd want to experience myself. As far as getting you on the phone, I have a stack of phone numbers out to all the people requesting the same, and we might be able to pull it off eventually. It won't be any time in the near next few days, that's for sure. But I might be able to pull off, have a conversation with you later on for sure, and we can discuss a little more smoothly and clearly what it is exactly that you had going on that night. It sure sounds pretty frickin' scary to me. Whatever that was. What a shitty experience, man. All right, here we go. Hi Steve, my name is Ryan Brewer. I currently teach history in Puerto Rico, but I used to live in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and I attend Augustana College. Augustana College. I study literature and journalism with an emphasis on secondary education. I work downtown at CSD. In February 2008, at 5 p.m., I got a phone call from a friend in the country that saw 5 to 6 white, unmarked airplanes in the sky, leaving curiously large chemtrails. The sky was perfectly clear and there weren't any clouds in sight. The chemtrails were different in size and makeup. The large ones were not dissipating into the air and were left in a grid pattern from north to south and east to west. I could tell the difference because the usual contrails were smaller in size and dissipating into the air almost immediately. After they were exhausted from the engines, then there was the distinct X that was made by these planes. Suddenly out of nowhere, there were these two oval-shaped objects that were floating across the sky where the X was, not leaving behind any contrails. They were spaced apart and traveling east in the same trajectory. I couldn't see any wings, and I thought it was just that they were too far away to tell, but then a third plane came up behind them. This plane had the contrails, and I could distinctly see the wings. It was traveling in the same line behind the objects. I called the FAA and demanded answers to what was in our airspace, and the operations manager put me on hold for about 20 minutes and then reported to me that the planes were an Air Force training operation out of Reese AFB in Lubbock, Texas. They were T-38 training planes. Well, my father's ex-fighter pilot and retired commercial pilot, and I know what T-38s look like, and it wasn't them. So I researched Reese AFB, and it has been shut down since '97. This isn't the only agency I've been in contact with. I also called the Joe Foss Air Traffic Control Operations Manager, conversation Dick Bone, with the Flight Standards District Offices, FSDO, in Rapid City. The conversation with the FAA Operations Manager, and the conversation with the FBI and MPLS. I also called the CIA and the NSA and got no reply, no nothing. Ryan Brewer. Well, that sounds a little alarming, Ryan. Hey, I have no shortage of friends where I live here that are following those episodes with planes dumping shit out of them in the air. Yeah, as far as, I haven't a clue. I haven't looked into that topic myself. I know obviously it is a popular topic and these things are going down. Objects in the sky. Well, let's face it, the Canadian and the U.S. military have both come out blatantly and said, yeah, there's UFOs. They've chased them. They've got them on video. They showed us the videos. They're there. Crafts, unidentified crafts in the sky, right? It's plain. It's open knowledge now. It's openly accepted. It's fact. But isn't it amazing, on that topic, isn't it amazing, not that I give a shit what any celebrity or anybody has to say, but it is amazing, as an example, the Joe Rogan podcast, which I don't listen to anymore, but I have listened, I used to, but it's amazing he has a big interest in UFOs. Okay, here's an example. I'll use him as an easy example of how thousands of other people are thinking today. It's a known fact that there are unidentified flying objects in the sky, possibly not from this planet. All these people accept that fact. They talk about it openly. You talk about it all the time. But those same people will deny the fact that there's unknown beings running around the planet amongst us. That does not even remotely make sense. If your mind can wrap around and accept the fact that there's some aircraft are here and have been coming here to our planet, if your brain can wrap around that and accept that fact, well, that basically proves without a doubt that anything unknown to us can be here at any time. Think about it. Do you realize how insane, in a way, what word? I mean, whatever. The only way I can describe it right now. It just seems absolutely insane to me that we'll just take one human mind, that one human brain can accept the fact, have a great interest in UFOs, accept the fact that they are being seen and video recorded by our military, but that same brain will tell itself that there's no possible way there's an unknown, upright, humanish being walking on the face of the planet. That doesn't even make sense. That just shows me that they are so challenged, their brains are possibly not quite firing that smoothly, right? If a craft came down from the sky above me right now, from a different planet, disappears into the trees of those hills behind me, and then rises up and flies away again, who out there is actually going to be able to dictate that somebody or something didn't get off that craft in the forest and start going on a little bit of a hike? Isn't that, you see what I'm getting at? I'm frozen, you guys. I'm hungry. I'm babbling a little bit, but are you seeing what I'm getting at? It just doesn't make sense, does it? It's so bizarre watching people and observing people and seeing how they think and how they react. It's just so weird for me to watch this display amongst us as we go, as we all stumble and walk through this ride of life that we've all been given. It's such a crazy experience. Yep, there's UFOs, there's people flying over here from other planets, but it's impossible for anything to be walking around the forest right now that we don't know about. Yeah. It's a crazy world, man. All right, here we go. Hello from the mountains of Oklahoma. To start with, I live at the foot of a mountain with the big woods starting just behind us. I happen onto a video with the hairy persons looking over a stump. Thanks for that. It puts my mind at rest about the one I saw looking in my window with the round face like the one on your video. The only difference was the one looking in my window was young and gray in color. To be more exact, it was a pale gray, not white, but close, with very large dark eyes. I surprised as much as it surprised me. I was walking down the hallway of my house, saw a movement from the window in the purple bedroom, glanced toward the movement, and saw the face looking at me. I wish I would have realized what I was looking at in time so I could have gotten a better look at the inquisitive window peeper. This was daytime. For the 20-odd years we have lived here, there have been howls, whoops, chatter, whistles, pebbles being thrown on the porch and roof, knocking on our walls, and low growls. We finally had to put up cameras on every corner of our house to keep them from knocking on the walls. They have made short work of my pears every year, but they always bring me a perfect pear, no scrapes, no teeth marks, when they have been at the pear tree and lay it down in the driveway, where I can't miss seeing it when I come out to sit on my porch and drink my coffee every morning. They do not stay here year-round. They live mid to late October and return in May. When we still had cattle, our cows had always alerted us when the hairy folks arrived by bedding down at night as close to the house as I could get, under the night light. I need to add to this by saying I have now seen two. While loading my washing machine, I glanced out the window above the washer. There in plain sight across the pond was a very black, shiny being walking back up towards the mountain. It was very shiny, so I figured it had been in a small pond in the back pasture. It was hot that day, even though it was late fall. The hair on the hairy person was long on the arms and body. I made note of the yellow bush she walked past, and it was the hairy person's waist area, A few days later, when my husband and myself got the courage to walk down there, my husband stood beside the yellow bush. My husband is over 6 feet tall. The bush that had come to the hairy person's waist was over my husband's head. We have lived with these hairy folks for well over 20 years. We have dogs and barn cats, and did have cattle until just a few years ago. We have not lost any critters off this land. After getting rid of our cows, I now mow at least 8 acres. And yes, I do feel them looking at me from time to time. It's uncomfortable to say the least. But by now, I know if they had intended harm, I'd be dead. I've told my grandsons, who love to fish and ride the toys around the mountains, about them. And they had the opportunity to hear that magnificent howl. It was late at night. We were outside finishing a job when it happened. It seemed to go on forever, and when it did end, it ended with a very low guttural growl. Anyone who has ever heard it can never forget it. Nor can they say there isn't something out there. All right. Thank you very much for that email. And you're definitely not the first person to come forward with the fact that they've been interacting with these beings or watching them multiple times on the rural property. It happens far, far more often than people share publicly, right? But anyway, I am about frozen through now. My fingers aren't starting to work properly, so I think that must be a sign for me to get my butt out of here and go home. And hopefully these clouds clear up one day. I want to fire up the snowmobile and go for a rip, and get up into the mountains and show you guys just how frickin' epic it is right around here where I live, and continue to share as much as I can with everybody as I can as it comes in, because it's making a difference. It is making a big difference for all those concerned. Alright, so be safe out there, and if you got something you want to get off your chest or share with everybody, something that might help somebody or help you, you can email it to sharemystory@howtohunt.com or tellmystory@howtohunt.com, and we'll eventually get to it. Alright? Be safe out there.